Abby's eyelids grew heavy as the chaise rumbled along. After only 2 days of travel, the tedium of the journey wore on both her and Fanny. Even now her maid's head drooped sideways onto Abby's shoulder, the woman's breathing thick and even. Abby shifted slightly, easing into a more comfortable position. It wouldn't hurt to close her own eyes. They still had Hounslow Heath to cross before stopping for the night. There'd be nothing to see but rain-dampened flatlands anyway. Her chin dropped to her chest, and she gave in to the jiggle and sway of the carriage. For the first time since her father had remarried, she could finally fully relax. No more cutting remarks from her stepmother, no cross looks from her sisters. It was a welcome feeling, this freedom, decadent and heady, and horribly shame-inducing. She ought to be missing her family, not reveling in their absence. She ought to be praying for them each night as her head hit the pillow, not dreaming of her new life with Sir Jonathan Aberley. As she bobbed along with the rhythm of the rolling wheels, she vowed to be more diligent in prayer for them, starting tonight. Guilt assuaged, for the moment, she purposely tuned her thoughts to memorized portions of the Psalms, losing herself in still waters and green pastures, one of her favorite ways to drift into sleep. But a sudden stop jerked her back to reality. Groggy, she fumbled at her bodice for the watch she wore pinned to her spencer, then blinked at the tiny numbers. 'Twas only 2:30. Gently pushing Fanny aside, who mumbled something about scones and jam, or maybe pudding and ham, Abby unlatched the door and peered out. The postilion had already dismounted from his perch on the lead horse and was brushing mud flecks off his blue jacket as he strode over to lower the steps. He'd stopped the chaise in front of a building that brightened the dreary day by virtue of its whitewashed stones and the lit lanterns in the windows. Above the front door of the inn, gilt letters, chipped and crooked, spelled out the Golden Cross. Abby reluctantly took the driver's offered hand and lowered to the ground. Surely the man couldn't be thirsty, nor the horses tired when they'd taken a meal not 2 hours ago. "Why are we stopping?" Brown eyes stared directly into hers, for the fellow was her height. Though she'd interacted now with many postilions when they changed horses and drivers at every inn, she'd still not grown accustomed to men no taller than herself. A boon for the horses, not having to haul large frames, but unnerving for her to stand eye to eye with a man. "Ground's a muddy mess, miss. It'll take too long to cross the heath with the roads such as they are. We'd never make it across by nightfall, and the heath's no place to be caught in the dark. It's better to give it a go early in the morning." Behind her, feet splattered onto the wet ground. A moment later, Fanny's whisper warmed her ear. "Is there a problem?" "The roads are too wet. We are stopping for the night." "Oh, good. Then you could order us some scones and jam, eh?" Stifling a retort, Abby gathered her skirt and lifted it slightly. It would do no good to reprimand the woman for such impertinence. It was Fanny's way. The maid's insolence was likely the reason her stepmother had chosen her for Abby in the first place. Still, for all of Fanny's peculiarities, the woman had a pleasant way about her, especially when food was involved. Stepping on flagstones too far apart for comfort, Abby gathered her gown a bit higher and focused on the precarious walkway leading to the door of the inn. A full day of mist coated the world in slippery dampness. The promise of hot tea lured her to up her pace, but a glance at the mucky ground tempered that urge. Sitting with wet shoes would be bad enough. Adding a muddied gown to the mix would prove intolerable. Inside, she and Fanny stopped at an ancient slab of a bar, darkened by centuries of spilled ale and the elbows of patrons too many to count. Behind it, a round fellow wiping off the rim of a mug with the corner of his apron glanced over at them. "What'll it be, ladies?" We need a room for the evening and tea for now." Abby dabbed away the moisture on her cheeks with the back of her hand. "For 2, please." "Aye, room 4 is yours. I'll have a boy fetch your belongings." He set the mug down, then tipped his head toward an open door across from the bar. "Find a table in the front room just through there. Tea will be out shortly."